It is Sunday. This is the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse, and we welcome you aboard. If you're watching live, welcome aboard again. If you're watching at a later date, more convenient to your schedule, also I welcome you aboard. And I'm going to give you a story that I've addressed that you will not read or hear or see anywhere else. And this is one of the reasons why you come here. And this is a significant, I don't want to say a story, but it's a development and it's big time. And you should know about it. And it has to do with the Kuiper machine, the Duane Kuiper and his brothers, but mainly the Glen Kuiper, Duane's younger brother, and Jeff Kuiper, who happens to be the director of the Giants broadcasts on their cable outlier, NBC Sports Bay Area. And I'm going to go into the intricacies here because you need to know, and nobody else will tell you, because they all have interests, they all have goals, and it's not so convenient for you to know. So they shield you from that, which is why yours truly is here. Let's go back in time. A couple of years ago, May 2023, Glen Kuiper, younger brother of Duane, working the A's telecast with Dallas Braden from Kansas City, where he makes his infamous remark using the N word. And by the way, I normally would use that word, but it is so heinous that somebody advised me not to use it. But it's the N word, and it's a racial slur. And Glen Kuiper made it and was subsequently, not that long after, fired by NBC Sports Bay Area, which was okayed by his then employer, the Oakland A's. Now, here's the deal, folks. He said he made a mistake. He gave a half-baked apology on a couple of shows and interviews that he did, not many. But here's the deal, and it's a big to-do. Not that long prior to that use of the N-word, Kuiper used the same racial slur at a spring training game with the A's. So he said the same thing. So this was not a one-time verbal guffaw. You don't make two mistakes, using that racial slur. Let's forget that for a moment. Let's put it in an objective analysis. You don't say that word by accident. It just doesn't flow out. Even from brothers who grew up in predominantly white Racine, Wisconsin. I'm sorry. And I'm not the only one who made that observation. Okay, let's go forward. So, Glen Kuiper has been out of baseball up until about a year now. He has not worked at telecasts. His career was basically over, pretty much. And for the past, year and a half, the brother, Duane Kuiper, one of the head broadcasts for the Giants, and his other youngest brother, Jeff Kuiper, the director for Giants telecasts. Just so you know, the Kuiper juice machine, the power is very, very evident. But his older brother, Duane Kuiper, has been maneuvering the local press to get his brother back into and it's so far, it's been very subliminal and very minute, but it's working. And the manner in which it's done, I have an issue with, but I'll get to that in a second. If you listen to KNBR on the weekend, the pregame show for Giants broadcasts, Glen Kuiper has been appearing with Marty Lurie. Now, Marty, I have no ill thoughts. I've actually given him high fives here. But on this one, I'm sorry. I don't like it. I'm just saying what is on my mind. I'm not here to make friends. I never met directly Glen Kuiper. When I was going and schmoozing every now and then at the A's, when they were in Oakland not that long ago, met him, shook hands with him a couple of times, didn't think he was the kind of person who would utter racial slurs, not once, but twice. And look at this has been a revitalization of the image tour, all put forth by Duane. And Glen has made no bones that he wants to get back into a play-by-play position somewhere. But so far, Major League Baseball and the baseball press has pretty much said goodbye. But here, it's a different story. He's been appearing on KNBR on Sundays before the Giants broadcast with Marty Lurie. He's also done a couple of, shall we say, very convenient interviews, la-di-da interviews, where the hosts, shame on them, have really not gone into detail as to what were you thinking, Glen Kuiper? How could you say that was a mistake? But they didn't do something very significant. They didn't ask him about the other incident, which didn't get a lot of play. In fact, it got no play. But he very much said the N-word prior to May 7th, 2023, when he uttered it on live television. And it took him a good hour before he acknowledged it and apologized. That's the first and foremost thing. Here's the second thing. The manner in which he has been allowed to get back into the mainstream is a little, I don't want to say disturbing, it's a little startling. And again, his brother is at the forefront. He maneuvered Susan Slusser, who covers the Giants beat for the Chronicle, to do a sympathetic article. Did she ask him about the other incident besides the N-word utterance in Kansas City? No. A couple weeks ago, Bruce Jenkins, the retired, although he still writes a Sunday column for the San Francisco Chronicle, did a very therapeutic rebuild the image of Glen Kuiper, didn't do a thorough asking, research. Hey, Glen, you said this word not only in May of 2023 when you were fired not that long after, you said it before. What is the explanation? Didn't ask him that. But Bruce, who normally would be somebody that might not put up with these shenanigans, very conveniently ignored it. Why? Because he's buddy with Duane Kuiper, brother Kuiper, who does the Giants. Marty Lurie, been doing a lot of shows with Marty Lurie, has had a couple of podcast appearances with some sports nincompoops. Very much on the bus, the toy department, didn't delve deeply into why he was allowed to do a half-baked apology. Not to mention, again, didn't offer a question whatsoever about why he uttered this N-word a second time. It was about a year before at an A's spring training game. How do I know that? Saw it later on, and you folks told me. Now, look, this guy doesn't come across, I'm talking about Glen Kuiper, as somebody who is a bigot or a racist. But that's really not something that you can say these days. Bigots come in different shades and colors. Some of them could also be baseball broadcasters. I don't know Glen Kuiper. that well. But I do know this: Duane Kuiper has significant power within the Giants, within NBC Sports Bay Area, the uh, cable outlier that carries the A's and the Giants. Now, just to be official, Glen Kuiper has not been back on television, but they are maneuvering to get him back on somehow, some way. He very much made it clear he wants to be back on the air in a TV broadcaster capacity. I find it disturbing and downright, well, illuminating, dramatic, revealing that all of this machinations, or is it machinations, is going on and nobody says a word. Bruce Jenkins, the Chronicle, the SF Standard, nobody in the fraternity of sports media, the alleged media that is supposed to cover not just sports, but ancillary topics or news events. Why isn't John Shea of the Standard? Why isn't he covering this? Why did he not try to ask Duane Kuiper, or for that matter, Glen Kuiper, about his situation? Why didn't anybody ask Marty Lurie about this? Why has not anyone asked Susan Slusser, of all people? Susan Slusser, who is on the beat of the San Francisco Giants for the Chronicle. Nobody's asked Susan, hey, did you ask Glen Kuiper about not only using that word once, but twice? You know, Glen, that's a hard word to make a mistake. Twice, maybe once, okay, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but twice, and not to sit down with somebody credible and to say, look, I blew it. I was thinking of the word that he said he was supposed to say, the Kansas City Negro Leagues Museum. But he said it and used the other word instead, again, twice. That's not a mistake. This is commentary right now. Two things. One, that's not a mistake. That's something that maybe in your conscious or subconscious, you don't say that word and claim to have made a mistake. You don't say that word, make a half baked apology once, and don't get further asked, what were you thinking? And if you made an honest mistake, he certainly didn't compellingly draw into that, embellish on it. Then we could forgive and forget. That didn't happen. And third, and most importantly, in a way, how come Glen Kuiper doesn't get asked about this? You know, it's your brother. We get it. You feel bad. This is a guy who probably lost his career not soon after that and has been inkling to get himself back into the Bay Area sports media. It turns out you are and were responsible for making phone calls and emails and maneuvering people to get your brother back on and somehow rehabilitate himself. Nobody, folks, nobody in the Bay Area, nobody in San Jose, and I include San Jose part of the Bay Area. Nobody has said that. Why? Nobody at NBC Sports Bay Area has bothered to check on that. This is a major market. That's a major team. He was fired, let go on not a little incidental thing that took place out of nowhere, which in a way it did. Nobody has gone out there and really sat him down and asked penetrating questions like, again, what were you thinking? If it was a mistake, why did you say it two times? You don't make mistakes like that twice. That's a heinous word. Anybody would know that. You don't say it twice. I'm sorry. A pattern here. And Glen Kuiper, powerful brother, has been able to maneuver his younger brother back here. That's also very revealing. Folks, all he has to do, or he could have done, is to sit down with somebody, anybody, maybe even me, although that'll never happen, of course. We know that now. Because I would have said, Glen, you had a very distinguished career with the Oakland A's, broadcasting games. What happened? What made you say that word? Twice. What were you thinking? That is not the kind of word that comes out naturally or ill-naturally. You have to kind of pointedly make that term. Nobody asked them that. Nobody even uttered it. Susan Slusser, all of these people, Marty Lurie, or worse yet, they know about it and they're still helping out Glen. For Duane's sake, as a do me a favor kind of a deal. Again, folks, I'm not some la-di-da person here. I've never said that word. Thought about it, never said it. When I said thought about it, to describe somebody who did use that word in the context to which Glen Kuiper got a lot of consternation. So I offer you this now and say something smells to high heaven here. At least that's what I think. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.